Hey guys, happy Monday, Thanksgiving week. Ton to be grateful for this week. Maybe above all, just the additional time to spend with family and loved ones. But I wanted to share. I was listening to while on the bike for a lot of hours this weekend. I listened to a podcast that was run by a woman by the name of Tiffany Bova. For those of you that like to read, she wrote an incredible book called Growth IQ that I read probably 2 or 3 years ago. And in the podcast that I listened to, she interviewed a guy by the name of Peter Diamandis who wrote another book that I read probably 5 years ago called Bold. And in that conversation, Peter creates a lot of content to counter a lot of the negative news that we all consume on a regular basis, and we're programmed, human behavior-wise, to have our attention drawn to negative news at a far higher rate than positive news. So, in the spirit of that, because many of you that know my background know that I spent a lot of time in the default servicing segments of residential real estate. And having sold real estate for 30 years now, I've seen, certainly the cycle move up and down a couple of times. I wanted to just speak exactly to where we are right now from a residential real estate standpoint, with the potential for a new wave of foreclosures entering the market. So I'm going to share my screen and share some content that I just put together from some of the latest numbers. So I've shared some of this over the course of the last couple of months concerning the number of homes that went into forbearance, and how a very significant percentage, first of all, of homes that went into forbearance initially in the spring of 2020 when the CARES Act was launched, very high percentage of those homes that went into forbearance never missed a payment. And so here we are now, we're coming up on, a year and a half later, and some of the numbers is to see as to where we are. And relative also to the last housing crash, which again, I experienced firsthand in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we all know what happened respectively. So as we look at it, basically, there are far fewer homeowners that are in trouble this time around as compared to what was going on back in 2007, 8, and 9. Back then, over 9 million households lost their homes through a foreclosure. When we look at what happened a year ago, many projected that 30% of all mortgages would enter forbearance. However, only 8.5 actually did. So 8.5 actually did, and that number, and then as you factor in the number of homes that never missed a payment, combined with the number of homes that started making payments and immediately caught up, or homes, of course, that refinanced or even sold, that number's all the way down to 2.2% right now. So when you look at the total number of homes, about 3 weeks ago, that total number of mortgages that were in forbearance currently was a little over 1.2 million homes that were in forbearance, far fewer than the 9 million that lost their homes a decade ago. To make that even more understandable, when we look at the equity position of the homeowners today versus what the situation was 10 years ago, of those 1.2 million homeowners, 93% of them have at least 10% equity in their home, and a very high percentage of them, over 70%, have over 30% equity. So homeowners in general are in a far better financial position in terms of equity, meaning there's a far less risk that they're simply going to lose the home or walk away from it. That 10% equity is important because it enables homeowners to sell their homes, pay the related expenses, and walk away free and clear without the risk of a foreclosure or short sale on their record. So the remaining 7% that may not have the option to sell, right? But if you look at that number, 7% of 1.2, little over 1.2 million mortgages, that's only about 85,000. And to give context to that number, again, we're talking about 85,000 potentials, right? And bearing in mind that many of those may wind up still modifying as time goes by, because we're not finished with how a lot of these circumstances will play out. But even if you looked at it and said all 85,000 were going to hit the market as a foreclosure, that's still a fraction of the total number of foreclosures we had each year leading all the way up to 2020, which was obviously the beginning of the pandemic. So we are at such a far cry of seeing the inventory or the inventory of bank foreclosures make any kind of a massive impact at all in our market. And further, when you look at the housing market and the demand relative to supply, back in 2008, 9, 10, we had a massive oversupply. Inventory levels of existing homes for sale were at their highest level in history. Today, we are exactly the opposite. We are at close to the lowest level in history. So even if we had 85,000 homes enter the market in the next 4, 5, 6 months, they would effectively be sold as quickly as I could complete probably the next video. So hopefully this puts a little bit of context into exactly what we're seeing right now in residential mortgage as it applies to bank foreclosure. That being said, if you know of anyone that is in a current state of forbearance, the most important advice that I think I would share or that I would want to convey is don't not do anything, right? Don't wait until you're served with some sort of notice. There's a very good chance, there's a 93% chance you're sitting in a strong equity position. But as you come out of forbearance and interest starts to accrue and charges start to accrue, that's going to compromise the amount of money that you're able to walk away with in a market like this. So if you know of anybody that's in that position, biggest piece of advice, don't wait. Start to get advice, start to get some counsel, learn what the home is worth in today's market. More than likely, it's probably more than you think. As always, we remain available to offer any guidance or support in helping you make the right decision. And again, I always want the information that we provide to be the most valuable that you see in this market today. So with that, have a great rest of your Monday. Hope this was helpful, and can't wait to see you soon. Bye.